Today we're going to introduce you to 19th century social reform, in particular the Transcendentalists Henry David Thoreau and Ralph Waldo Emerson. So who were the Transcendentalists and what did they believe? Well, Transcendentalists were writers and thinkers in New England who believed the most important truths in life transcend or go beyond human reason. So in Transcendentalism, you stress emotion over reason, which was quite the opposite idea at the time. Previous to this literary era, they actually stressed reason over emotion. Transcendentalism also believed that as an individual, they have control over their own life. There isn't a sense of fate, there isn't a sense of God or of country that controls you. You as an individual control your life. The beliefs of Transcendentalists led them to support social reform as a way of improving America by the mid-1800s. And two important Transcendentalists were Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau. Let's start with Ralph Waldo Emerson. He was a popular essayist and a lecturer. He spoke and wrote about self-reliance and about a person's character. As a Transcendentalist, Emerson believed the human spirit was reflected in physical nature, and that nature held higher values that must have come from God. He also believed in the importance of the individual. Now, as a former minister himself, we can see where his values come from because he's taking the sense of God and this newly found sense of American physical nature that he's been living in and putting them together, saying that the importance of the individual comes from both. And Emerson now urged people to use their inner light to guide their lives and to improve the society around them. He stated once, "A man should learn to detect and watch that gleam of light which flashes across his mind from within." Next, we'll introduce you to Henry David Thoreau. Henry David Thoreau was Emerson's friend and neighbor. Now, Thoreau believed that the growth of industry and the rise of cities were actually ruining the nation. Thoreau urged people to live as simply as possible. Now, his best-known work is called Walden, and the book describes spending a year alone in a cabin on Walden Pond in Massachusetts. And while this is out in physical nature, which again the Transcendentalists did enjoy, he is on his buddy Emerson's back lot. Now, Thoreau believed that an individual must decide what is right and what is wrong. Now, Thoreau's ideas and actions were part of a mounting wave of reform activism that had begun in the 40s. So, like Emerson, he believed in the ideas of physical nature and that the individual can improve themselves, but he actually wanted to put it more into action. He once spoke, "The law will never make men free. It is men who have got to make the law free." Now, when Thoreau would go out on Walden and have some self-examination, he would once say, "A lake is the landscape's most beautiful and expressive feature. It is Earth's eye, looking into which the beholder measures the depth of his own nature." Now, Thoreau would argue that people had a right and a duty to disobey unjust laws if their consciences demanded it. In fact, Thoreau went to jail for refusing to pay taxes to support the Mexican War, which he felt was going to promote slavery in the South. Now, Thoreau's beliefs told him the slavery was wrong, and he took direct action to end it. He also delivered several lectures in opposition to the enforcement of the fugitive slave law. And as an abolitionist, Thoreau worked as a conductor on the Underground Railroad, helping escaped slaves reach freedom. So why are we still studying Emerson's and Thoreau's ideas today? Well, because in the 20th century, we see lots of writers and lots of activists using their ideas in their own reforms. For example, with nonviolent protest. Thoreau's writings and actions influenced people both during his life and after his death. For example, in the 20th century, Mohandas K. Gandhi from India and both Martin Luther King Jr. and Cesar Chavez from America are all examples of people extending Thoreau's individual model onto huge scales of mass action. Thanks so much for stopping by for an introduction to Transcendentalism and an introduction to Thoreau and Emerson. If you'd like to learn more about them or more about other authors, please don't forget to stop by my channel once again. And as always, I'd appreciate it if you subscribed.